Welcome to Curling Edition. My name is Joe, and we're here to talk about sports. So a very big debate heading into the 2020 NFL Draft earlier this year was Joe Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa. Who should a team take number one? Who would be more successful? Ultimately, that question was put to rest when Joe Burrow was able to guide the LSU Tigers to not only a perfect season and not only a national title season, but eventually Joe Burrow would go on and lead those Tigers to possibly one of the greatest college seasons we've ever seen from a college football team. Is he, though, a better prospect than Tua Tagovailoa? We're going to talk about it right now. Real quick, just before we get into this, I just want to go ahead and remind everybody that this is just based on my opinions. My opinion may not be the right one. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me or disagree? Who would you rather have leading your football team in the future? As always, feel free to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this video specifically, or hit that subscribe button down below. So, let's recap those college seasons for both Joe and Tua Tagovailoa first. Joe Burrow finished off his LSU career with a record of 25 wins with 3 losses. In that time, Mr. Joe Burrow was able to throw for 76 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, finishing off with 8,565 total yards. Obviously, these wins for Joe Burrow came in most of these wins came in his senior year, in which he helped guide LSU to that undefeated season, in which they just pretty much dominated every single team. Really, none of those games were close, and they just put the smack on Oklahoma, hanging 63 points on them, and then that game against Clemson really felt out of reach middle of the second quarter and on after that. Now, for Tua Tagovailoa, you'll see his stats come up on the screen. His record was with 22 wins with only 2 defeats, and he threw 6,806 total yards, and he was able to throw for 76 touchdowns with 9 interceptions. Now, Tua Tagovailoa was actually known for leading his team to a national title when he stepped up for a struggling Jalen Hurts while they were playing Georgia his freshman year. Tua took everyone by storm by pretty much bringing his team back from the jaws of defeat, winning that, and then going on his following year, which would be his sophomore year, and going 14-0 before unfortunately getting thrashed by Clemson that year and losing that game in a pretty brutal manner. The following year, Tua Tagovailoa would actually go on, and he lost a head-to-head matchup with Joe Burrow. Again, what I believe head-to-head matchups don't really make a huge difference for me, just because Tua was hurt in that one, but that's no excuse. He played the game, he lost, and that was that. So now that we got that out of the way, if I had to choose now one prospect that I would actually draft number one, to many people's surprises, I'd probably say Joe Burrow. Now, I didn't feel like this a couple weeks back, but I feel like the more I started digging into it, and the more I watched more highlights from the past, I feel like I would probably just take Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow would be the safer pick today. Doesn't mean that Tua's gonna be less successful than Joe, or isn't going to be as great. I think actually Tua's in a better situation than Joe, but I feel like as a prospect myself, I'd probably just take Joe Burrow because, one, a lot of people might want to judge the guy in his arm, but what I really liked about his throwing motion is the fact that, he puts the ball in tight spaces. He's accurate. 77.1% completion percentage this past year. I really like that. 2, he's not crazy mobile or elusive, but he can make plays with his legs. 3, like Tua Tagovailoa, I think like Joe Burrow in the biggest games of the year, his senior season, he showed up. Not only did he beat Tua, but it wasn't even close when he got to the playoffs. Now, I can't really say that I can't really knock Joe for having all that crazy amount of talent that he had at LSU, because Tua's from Alabama, and that's the same kind, and he has the same level kind of talent. Obviously, Joe had more guys, go to the NFL from his team, but as far as you're getting the kind of prospects and scouting departments and the kind of players that you're getting at both universities, I think a lot of people would argue that Alabama gets better players. So I can't really knock Joe Burrow for the team that he had. One other thing I really liked about him, obviously, is work ethic. With him, it was struggle at the beginning and work to make yourself into a contender, and that's what we saw with Joe. I've seen him struggle, and I've seen him work enough to get better and to make himself the #1 pick. Obviously, we saw Joe did go number 1, and rightfully so. I think that he's going to struggle when he starts in the NFL. I feel like Tua might, be a little bit better starting off. But again, if I had to make a specific move right now, I take Joe Burrow. Last point I want to make. I think one of the biggest things that really puts Joe Burrow over the top from Tua is the fact that Joe Burrow doesn't have an injury history. Tua does have an injury history, and it really makes me cringe a little bit, especially just because of the fact that his style of play. I feel like, again, he can be kind of like a Lamar, where he's trying to make plays on his feet as well, and he might feel like he's a little bit more athletic than what he actually is. And I feel like that's just going to get Tua in trouble in the next level. So that really concerns me right there. With Joe, I really don't have to worry about that. So again, Joe Burrow versus Tua Tagovailoa. Who would I take? It'd be Joe Burrow. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave it a like. And if you enjoy content like this, feel free to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.